We're back. We're continuing our discussion around the Trimet board. We're on part 4. And I was thinking about part 3, and I was going to make a comment that Trimet has all these expansion plans going, but there's only one problem. They're losing riders. It's not like they're gaining, or they've been losing riders for the last 10 years. But they're expanding anyway in the face of declining ridership. It was just one more point I wanted to make about all of this, is it doesn't make sense to be expanding when you're losing riders. But it's neither here nor there. It was just a thing I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I just got done reading my Seattle update, and they just did a thing that their ridership is somewhat down, but they're losing it to
Seattle.
They're losing it to Uber and Lyft, which has not decreased traffic congestion. It's actually increased it. But on the other hand, can you blame anyone who, if you can afford to take these rider services?
Of course you would. But Seattle ridership is up. Seattle's one of the cities.
It's up. But they're concerned about that the ridership of the Uber and Lyft is increasing, like it is in New York City, to the point of where New York has put a cap on those riders' services due to, I think, pressure from the taxi union. And if you've been following it, I think in the last month there have been 5 taxi drivers who have committed suicide.
Oh, really? No, I haven't been following.
Yeah, the system in New York was always based on what they called the medallion.
Yeah, I remember.
So you had to have a medallion, and those medallions had to be displayed. Metal medallions had to be displayed on your taxi, and it cost like $1 million.
Right.
Well, they've gone down in value to maybe $175,000. So a lot of these guys still owe $500,000 for the medallion they bought. They can't drive enough to even pay for what they owe. So one committed suicide right in front of the taxi board. Another set himself on fire with his taxi. I mean, it's been tragic.
Yeah, well, that's the land of the free for you. You're free to screw anybody you can in pursuit of profit, and that's the way it goes.
And I mean, in Portland, one of the rarest sights to see on the street, believe it or not, is a yellow cab, a Broadway cab, a Union cab. Rare. Really?
Broadway makes a lot of money off Trimet on the lift. They use them quite a bit, millions.
But I'm just saying.
Really? So the cabs are gone in Portland? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the cab business, the Green Cab Company, which was one of the last to be licensed with a whole bunch of, has gone through a couple transitions. I don't even know if they're in business anymore.
Yeah. So Uber really destabilized all that.
The disruption to the business, the taxi business, has been horrendous. Let alone that City Hall under the last administration didn't do a very good job, and Uber and Lyft ran circles around them.
Yeah, but let's point out that Uber and Lyft wouldn't exist at all if public transportation was efficient and the taxis could serve demand. The taxi cabs could not serve demand in Portland. I know that. Did you ever try to get a cab at night before Uber and Lyft? You could be waiting an hour and a half.
Right.
Uber and Lyft popped up because of the inadequacies in the current system. And that's why they...
I mean, they filled a void.
Yeah.
And, it's created a whole new problem.
Right.
I agree with you that why are we expanding with
they're losing riders.
Fill the need, and you know the need because of your public outreach. These groups have reported back to you, where we've heard on public testimony, they need service, and you will say, well, we're looking at it, and the timeline is 4 to 6 years from now.
Yeah. But, we know why they're doing the capital project. It's got nothing to do with anything based in reality. It has to do with the capital projects mafia.
Right.
It doesn't have to be reality based. This is government here. And they just want to keep that money flowing to those vested interests. That's why they're doing it. And, and the light rail stuff is all about development anyway. That's why they're going to do this instead of course, you brought it up that why don't they fix the steel bridge instead of the Southwest. What they really need to do is get a new bridge in there, because that bridge is not reliable that they're using. But they're not going to do that. No, they're going to do this.
Not only is it not safe, as he agreed, it's the hourglass. If you fix that bridge with some alternatives, all of a sudden you're going to have an increase on-time performance.
Right. Reliability will shoot through the roof, but they're not doing that. They're doing the other thing, and they think they're going to come back later and say, "Oh, look at this disastrous of a bridge. I need $10 billion more now." I mean, they're doing what government does, which is perpetuate itself. They're not in the business of serving the public. They're in the business of serving the elites and themselves. Government stopped serving the people right about the time of Reagan. That's when it all unwound, and that's why what we have today in the country is pretty much every man for himself attitude now. There is very little support network, and public transit is a mess everywhere around the country, and TriMet's not as world class as some of those East Coast transit cities, but they have all the same problems. But TriMet is a newer transit district, so a lot of the stuff that's happening on the East is not happening here because they just haven't been in business as long. But it's
right. I mean, New York is, you're talking about sections that are 100 years old.
Yeah, right. And same thing in Boston. But, the management has let these systems rot, all the while building capital projects. So, I mean, it's not a TriMet phenomenon. It's a neoliberal national policy. All these policies are formulated on a national level, and they're implemented on a local level. But it's not like Portland's just coming up with all this stuff themselves. They're not.
Yeah, and you can exchange Mr. Kelsey with just about any general manager.
Exactly.
And they would be speaking the exact same language.
You're absolutely 100% correct. People really
right. And the only difference might be the hairline and the color of the tie.
Right, but they're speaking the exact same stuff. That's exactly right. And I do look at other districts around the country, and I observe what's going on there, and the similarities are incredible. It's the same shit everywhere. Okay, it's people don't realize how interconnected this whole thing is.
And not it's just on the management side. The public, the writing public, is saying the same, demanding the same things.
And none of the public is getting it anywhere. The public is ignored everywhere around the country right now, and that's a phenomenon beyond transit. That's public policy in general. The public, the government no longer serves people; it serves elites, and that's pretty well known. Let's get rolling.
Those are all outlined in the Exhibit A before you in your package today.
Okay.
Upon approval of the exemption, a competitive RFP process will be used to select the contract that presents the best value to the agency. The final work is expected to total approximately $2.8 million, and it is partially...
Okay, we're still on the Cleveland crew room that we
ended. Yeah. And there's been a lot of response. Did you have a chance to look at what the time frame is to actually build a new shack out there?
No, I didn't. No. What is it?
I don't know. I don't know whether it's in this proposal. Maybe one of the board of directors.
Bond funded. It's also included in the overall project Trimet's fiscal 17 to 19 general fund budget, and the construction work specifically is included in the 19-20 capital budget. Mr. Vice President, your approval is recommended.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Are there questions from the board in regards to this resolution?
See how less smooth Stovall is compared to Warner? Warner's so smooth the way he goes through all this stuff. No
I do have a question. So under financial budget impact, it says that
here she goes.
The final amount of work performed on the project is expected to total approximately
Boy, she's really in there, isn't she? She's questioning everything.
$2.8 million and is bond funded. Can you tell me a little bit about what bond and
Yeah, she wants to know. What
just
is
some
it?
context for...
I love her little throwaway expressions. Every time she sort of pushes, she's on the point of, I'm going to push you here. I want an answer.
Yeah, she's really excellent. I'm very impressed with this woman.
Doing this one is actually ask our CFO, Dee Brookshire, to come up and maybe comment on the specific. I think this one's partially bond funded, not fully bond funded.
Good morning, Mr. Vice President, members of the board. The project actually is fully bond funded. We had bonded $6 million for that particular specific project. There was a sense of urgency related to some of the environmental needs surrounding that work. But as far as what was your specific question related to bond funding?
Just which bond? There's just a lot of bonds.
It was included in our
which bond?
2017 payroll revenue bonds, Series A.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's not a good answer.
Is that something that Trimet passed to voters? Or?
No, it's not a geo bond that requires a vote. This one was internal. It's against our own revenues.
Got it. Okay, thank you. That's what I was trying to...
Yeah, they indebt the citizens without a vote of the citizens. That's what they do here. They're borrowing against their own money.
They're financing their own. They're selling a bond.
Yeah, and the collateral is their payroll tax. I mean, this kind of thing should be illegal as far as I'm concerned. They shouldn't be able to get in debt. I'm totally against being these transit districts and their debt service budget, which it's just money that the banks make for doing nothing. Okay, it's free money to the banks, and these transit districts should not be able to do that. But that it's set up. This is just one big giant con game to make money for the elites. So there's nothing we can do. This is how it's set up. It's set up intentionally like this.
So, not only we're selling bonds, but the brokers selling these bonds are making money.
Right. Yeah, they get it's millions and millions and billions. It's trillions of dollars if you look at it. Trillions of dollars of interest. Trillions. Okay, on these projects. And they'll never be paid off. Okay, and eventually, one of these days, this house of cards will come crashing down. Will it be in our lives or your children's lives? It's going to happen, It's going to happen. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
Sure.
Essentially, they're acting like a bank.
Yeah, they're just taking out loans against future revenues. So they're indebting themselves to do these projects. And government can take out loans forever. I guess. I guess they can just put
And again, we almost realize this money that they're talking about is, quote, our money.
Yeah, it's taxpayers' money. We're on the hook for it, not her, not Kelsey, not that guy in the tie there. This is citizens' obligations to pay. All these people here are going to leave with big fat pensions, and they make a big fat paycheck every 2 weeks. And they get that no matter what happens, even if the district goes under. Well, I suppose if everything went under, then they could possibly lose it too. But that's not going to happen. They'll just cut service.
And it's never happened when the company is under Fred years ago when there was the fuel crisis.
Yeah.
Trimet got stung buying futures.
Right. And they lost a lot of money on that. Yeah,
they lost a bunch of money.
Yeah, what are they doing
So
speculating on that shit? I'm against all of that. The idea that they...
Yeah, so, I'm not a gambler.
No, this should all be...
I've been told you take a loss, you don't try to recoup it by doubling your bet again.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be...
Exactly
none of this stuff should be permitted at all, as far as I'm concerned.
And by the way, in that diesel fuel bit, well, we lost this time. Let's try it one more time and see if we can make it back.
Right, and they lost again.
And they lost it again, and no one was accountable. Never.
No, right. Nobody got.
Not a peep out of the board of directors.
No. It's the same old story over and over. All these people in charge get away with everything, and the ones at the bottom pay the price.
That bond in 2017.
It's not a publicly voted or funded bond.
Sure.
It's not a public.
It's to us in the financial markets.
Well, there was a much larger bond. That was just one element of the funding that was included in it.
Okay.
I'm happy to go through all of our bonds with you.
Okay.
At some time.
Yeah,
that's not necessary, but I just wanted to clarify what that bond-funded language meant.
So it sounds like this project is going to be completed in a couple years.
Yeah, or sooner. I don't know. It's not.
And so I'll make a post online that people have been wondering. It's been over almost 3 years that the operators have been living in a
trailer,
used mold-infested second-hand trailer.
Jesus.
But if they are going to rebuild it right where it is, as I told you in the last time, I don't know whether they got on. They will have sewer problems within a couple of years.
Right. You mentioned that.
You want to put money out that they didn't learn, they will not learn from the past.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you're right. They love having more cash. See, they don't want to learn, because the more things fail, the more money is made. That's another one of these conundrums with public transportation that I've picked on. When things don't work, that's when the overtime goes out. That's when the capital projects increase. It's almost like it's planned to fail because that's how they can make the most money. I know people will say, "Oh, that's just Al being crazy again," but I really wonder sometimes.
Other questions in regards to this, Mr. President? Any questions or comments from you?
I have none.
He's still listening.
This, of course, is out in my neck of the woods. I was just at the Cleveland station just the other evening, so it'll be good to make sure that we get these adjustments and repairs done. And I like the fact that it actually includes additional space for the operations personnel, separate break room. That'll be nice to make sure that we are taking care of our great people out in the field. All right. If there are no other questions, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
They did have this bond, this influx of money from the 2017. Do you really think that they would have budgeted for the new shack that's been sitting out there vacant for almost 3 years?
Maybe not.
Yeah. Let alone that 4 years prior to that, I kept warning that this impending mess was just festering.
Yeah, well, they don't listen to operators. Operators are made to be seen and not heard. That's the Trimet, To be happy to have a job and keep your mouth shut. That's how they want.
And by the way, I went beyond Trimet. I actually went to the state of Oregon Health Board.
Oh, did you?
And pointed out, and I was, I've mentioned in previous declarations, I was essentially told, as soon as someone dies from Legionnaire's disease,
then you can, then we'll look at it.
We'll be right there.
Right, yeah. That's what it takes, right? That's how they feel. That's how they view the citizens.
And so, if it's you, please leave note in the will that to have us contact.
Mr. President?
I will make a motion to approve Resolution 18-08-61.
Thank you so very much. All right, is there a
Do you
second?
think it'll be unanimous?
I don't know. I'll put money on it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Another few $1 billion.
Any
in debt.
opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to our fourth resolution. The next resolution is Resolution 1808-62, authorizing a modification to a contract with J.E. Dunn Construction Company.
Yeah, they want more money.
Construction manager.
I thought we...
General contractor, so CMGC, services for the Powell Bus Garage
I was going to say, it's got to be the Powell
Mr. General
Garage.
Manager.
Yeah, so...
Thank you, Mr. Vice
So
President.
this is the third or fourth time back to the trough.
Yes. This, I
In April,
think it's the
the
third.
board authorized an award of a contract to J.E. Dunn for the
It was just April.
CMGC pre-construction services in the amount of $110,000.
Oh, it jumped in.
In February, staff returned to the board, received an authorization for an additional $670,000 to add construction services. This allowed specifically to deal with purchase of long lead times, related administrative expenses, public involvement activities, and third-party review services. Then in June, the board authorized an additional $29 million for the early work package.
$29 million. Oh, here's an extra $29 million.
Particularly the parties have now agreed to a total contract price for construction services, and Trimet is prepared to modify the contract to address those services now.
So now it goes up from
The additional
$29 million.
authority allowed through this modification
Another
is
$40 million?
$73.8 million,
Jesus.
now totaling over $100.426 million.
100 point.
to rebuild the
So it
Powell
started
Garage.
out at 100,000, then it went to 600,000, then it went to 29 million, and now it's 100.4 million. Unbelievable.
Construction cost is 7% more than
I mean, really, isn't that something? That's just something.
Trimet's fair cost.
Don't worry. If the gal on the end asks that she's going to get a very thorough explanation,
Right.
this is not unusual.
estimate. However, Trimet and J.E. Dunn engaged in open book price negotiations to ensure the price is competitive.
Yeah, right.
We believe the negotiated price is fair and reasonable after that review. In its proposal also, J.E. Dunn indicated it would use DBE contractors for approximately 20% of the work. But the participation rose to 25% once the key subcontractor were brought on board. The project is included in the fiscal 18 and 19 capital budget program, and your approval is recommended.
Yeah,
All
100
right.
million here, 100 million there.
Questions?
Okay, let's place
see.
your bets. Do you
Steve
think
is
this
still
will
with us
pass
at the
unanimous?
table, so he's here for questions. I'm sure we'll bring up anybody required to answer any additional questions. But are there any questions on this procurement?
And I want to state, I do a lot of Twitter. I follow Trimet on the Twitter, and we always get in these heated discussions around the fare invasion, the 250, and I try to tell people. I mean, they're getting all excited about $2.50 when I'm watching month after month this kind of pork that goes out from Trimet, hundreds of millions of dollars are going out for who knows what, all kinds of crazy projects. And people are stressing over the $2.50. They cannot separate the fact that Trimet is a cash cow for the elites of Portland, and why are they picking on these poor fare evaders for $2.50? You know what I mean? It's a you can't see the forest through the trees. Yeah, you know what I mean? Right.
It's just amazing. Because revenue from fares
is nothing.
Are going to be actually, it's when you get to see the pie chart over the next couple of years, will be even a smaller slice compared to how much money the 2017 bond will be putting into their pocket.
Yes.
And by the way, those people that they didn't tell you, but they didn't mention, but the Trimet payroll tax is still in effect on those all affected in the Tri-County.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I know.
You know, they've got money coming in.
They got so much money right now. They just increased the payroll tax. They've just issued another $600 million worth of bonds, and now they have the HR 217. I mean, they have so much money over there. People have no idea. They're rolling in dough over there. Okay, rolling in dough.
And it won't be enough because that 2020 bond measure is all the PR is from the Oregonian interviews of Kelsey and elsewhere. They're laying the groundwork for even more money.
Oh yes. The mainstream media carries the water for the Trimet executives, and that's been well known. I mean, there is no investigation of Trimet. It's all reprinting Trimet news releases.
Yeah.
So I'm not hearing any questions.
Look at that woman. Look at that look on her face.
So far, I've got a question that I will pose in regards to the 7%.
Yeah, they're just sitting there like
difference. When it says the direct construction cost, reading that sentence, you know, I sometimes look at that and say, well, that's, is that 7% higher based on? I mean, right now construction is very hot. It's busy. I mean, there's a lot of construction going on. How does that compare to the construction management fee, or when we say direct cost, is that mostly, you know, subs and materials and those types of things that we're seeing that escalation in cost in comparison to our fair cost estimate?
Director Stovall, I have joining.
Yeah, I would love to see a forensic audit of the capital projects department and of all these contracts of how that $109 million was spent. You know, I'd love to see a check register of all of that.
What would be interesting to see is, like, when you buy a car today, you can actually look up online what the car actually cost, what the dealer's making, and what his profit is.
Yeah. We don't get to know that here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guarantee you'll never know what J.E. Dunn made on this.
I would say, though, basic rule of thumb, I do know a little bit about contracting. They build in 50% profit, okay? That's what the owners of the construction companies I've worked with generally shoot for. They bid the project to make sure they make 50% of that in profit. That's generally the contractor rule of thumb. So there's a lot of money being made here. A lot of money. I don't know what kind of building you build for $109 million, for crying out loud. You know, it's what the hell? It's a fucking huge amount of money.
Me today, Dan Sosnowski, who's the project director for the buildings department.
Excellent, thank you, Dan.
So to your question, when we compared the direct construction cost to our consultant cost estimate, those two numbers were within 7%. Within this overall authority that we're asking for today, we actually have some of those things that Steve has talked about earlier today. Some of those risk and contingency buckets are within this 106 total authority.
Yeah, so it costs $134.6 million to do the Tillicum Bridge. And it's going to cost $101 million to do the Pal Garage, just for a comparison.
So when we go, so those are things that we've negotiated and set aside some money for in case some of the things happen that we've anticipated. If steel prices continue to go up and we haven't locked in all of those prices.
See, here we go again. Why aren't they locking in those prices immediately? Why does this discussion keep coming up?
Labor costs go up.
We had the explanation that was of that last month. So, you know, essentially they didn't have everything aligned up with all the other costs of labor. In other words, you basically know how much steel you need. The labor can come
Well, I mean, you know how much this stuff costs. You know how many people you're going to need. You know how much the material is going to cost. I mean, every other construction contract, it's bid. They know what it's going to cost to make it. But this Trimet stuff, they always keep saying, well, we didn't foresee this, we didn't foresee that. I mean, that doesn't happen anywhere else except in government. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you can roll ahead, but
Or if there's some
want to place
environmental...
place a bet that within the next year.
Oh, they'll be back again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's the name of the game. They just keep handing them more and more and more. All you got to do is ask. That's United States corporate welfare, there, folks.
Things that we haven't identified yet, because once we open the ground, there will be there's always risk underground when you don't know what's there. So
yeah, right, underground.
There are things in here that we don't have a direct cost comparison to, because they are risk buckets that we will compare at the time they occur. So when we talk about the direct construction costs, comparing those two, and those are within 7%, those are the actual things we know about today that we've agreed to. We also have gone through all of their general conditions and project management fees. Those are included in the direct construction cost for the project. So those aren't outside of that number we're talking about. Does that get to your question?
Certainly.
Okay.
It certainly gets to the question. And so then, as you were just referencing...
No, what we need is an actual breakout of the cost. You know, this is what's going to cost for the materials. This is what it's going to cost for the labor. Let's see that, but they're not going to show us that.
The idea that we can run into unforeseen circumstances, that's going to be included or addressed through our change order allowance. Correct.
Through a change order allowance, and we've set up some specific risk buckets.
Okay.
For things that we have talked about with the contractor that are potentially could come up. The change order allowance that we've talked about here, this 5.9%, is for things we don't know about yet.
You don't know about.
Yeah. So we have a couple different buckets of contingency money. We have things we have an idea that might come up that we can address quickly through tapping those buckets. But we also have a contingency bucket, the change order allowance.
Yeah, I mean, I like buckets.
Nobody could contemplate at this moment.
Yeah. Why don't we just say, the cash draw?
Yeah, the cash cow. We got plenty of money and we can give it to them. We got lots of money to give away. We're Trimet.
The risk budget that you're referencing, that's not included in the numbers we're seeing here.
It is. This is a comprehensive number for all of the risk items.
Okay, if that was true, they wouldn't be coming back again, but they will be coming back again.
Or change order allowance.
They've gone over the 7% mark.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Our project management. Project management fees for the contractor.
Yeah, I can imagine how much money they make.
This is all in number.
Got it.
And just so this same scenario is played out in government, in every government function. The Trimet, City of Portland, State of Oregon, federal government. It's the exact same scenarios played out in all the various levels of government.
Including,
this is what's called corporate welfare, and you see it playing out here. Nobody sees this. Okay, nobody watches this. Only a few people watch it. Only 45 people have watched this board meeting that Trimet posted, and nobody watches because it's so damn dull and boring. Nobody really understands what's going on.
Including our change order allowance, which you see there, which is that's just under 6%.
All right, excellent.
Yeah, all right.
Just a quick question. When do we think this work can be completed?
Oh, wait.
Completed. Well, that would be contingent on when we can start. We are in. Sorry, that's a little cheeky. We are in.
What, they don't know when they can start? I mean, come on, man.
For permits right now with the City of Portland for our civil and demolition packages, working through that whole process. Following right behind that is our building permit process application. So we've been seeing some extended time periods with the City of Portland on permits, and we are ready to start as soon as we are permitted. We believe the construction period, the 2 phases of construction, are approximately 37 months.
Okay.
It's because we're going to do
37
the first phase, which is actually a full full completion of half the building, so we can actually operate out of it, is about an 18-month period.
Okay.
And then we'll demo the existing building and start on phase 2 of the final building, which is another approximately 18-month period.
Wow.
What I might add is
18 months. It's 36 months to finish the job. 18 months to get a place to people to work out of. I don't know. It seems like a long time, but whatever.
Working on this, we've actually moved our paratransit facilities off. So it's on another location right now to stage to get ready for the physical construction work. So it's all part of a delayering while we still run the business and build it up. So by 2021, it should be complete.
Wow. Okay.
So
She's like, wow.
Yeah, this is one of those things where we have to keep operations out of there for a reduced fleet because our other facilities are full. So working around an existing fleet and putting service.
That's another reason why they shouldn't be expanding, because they just shouldn't be doing it.
On the street every day is a challenge. And
so this, when Zoom backs out to, although we're talking about the Powell facility individually right now, we have to zoom back out and look at the network.
Right.
And that's where the importance of the fourth bus facility fits in. What can you do with what you've got before you knock it all down? So there's a whole orchestra going on while we move our fleet around to manage the rejuvenation and rebuilding of this case, the Powell facility, while we do the fourth, and the next one moves accordingly. So it's a bit of a logistics orchestra that the public would not see. This photograph is before you is one key chess move in the $100 million investment to get Powell ready to move on to the next facility.
Mr. President, any questions or comments on this resolution?
Thank you. I guess I would just say again, here's a great example of who knew that, for example, tariffs might get in the way and increase the price of steel on a project.
Yeah.
And we have an agent working on our behalf, understanding our overall budget and working towards a common end to get this project done, to deal with the operational issues, but also deal with the cost pressures in a partnership way. So I think this is a good example of why this kind of alternative delivery can really work well for Trimet.
And if I may have one little diversion to kind of go back to the previous question on the low bid exemption that the director had. One of the things that happened on this project, our designers were heading down a pathway for a structural sheathing system for the existing building and got a ways down the design. Our contractor came in and said, there's nobody in Portland that builds that today. Mm-hmm. So we would be trying something new in the Portland market. So at that point, our contractor, who was doing pre-construction services, redirected our design efforts to get us a cost-effective building system that has been tried and true in the Portland market. So that kind of deals with your question of why do we like the CMGC services? Because they provide good value, provide us direction during the design phase that can save us unidentified amounts of money, but does provide input into the design phase.
So contrast that a little bit with a non-CMCG type of contract. We would have gone through the whole process, we got done, and we said, okay, it's all spec'd out, it's all designed. Now we've got to go find somebody either nationally or globally who can come here and get it done. Thus, we would have probably had to pay a significant premium, or we'd have to have it done by somebody here, and it'd be their first time, yeah. And potentially,
and those kinds of costs you can't.
I don't know why they have to even do something that can't be done. I mean, why do they have to reinvent the wheel? I don't get that either. Why aren't they just building? Why is there nobody available in Portland to do this project? I don't get any of that.
This is beyond my expertise. I'm not a contractor or a builder or a designer, so I don't. Yeah, I know. It just seems to. And neither of the people on that board.
No, they don't know anything. It seems beyond. It seems like they overly complicate everything as usual. That's all I'm saying.
Quantify at this point, so
we have an EIFS problem.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah, right.
Director Bowman.
I do have one question for you. The work on the Powell garage, that includes infrastructure for electric buses, is that right? Charging infrastructure?
No.
It will. We're still in the design phases for the electric bus, so this contract
That's
price
got
right now
nothing
does
to
not include
No, that's not even
the infrastructure for electric buses. We're still working on that and figuring out the design with our partners PGE. And
that's really astounding that she doesn't know that the electric buses are going out of Merlo. Okay, she doesn't even know that, and that she's supposed to be a board of director.
our design.
It's got nothing to do with
that. Will be
buses.
a separate ad.
Well, what I think her point is that in the future, if electric buses show up over there, okay, do you have a long enough extension cord?
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah,
I get you. Okay, that's
I mean, and what he's saying is, well, we're not there yet. We're on the design phase, but don't worry. If it costs more,
yeah, we'll get it. We have unlimited money here and unlimited bonding authority, so we can just do whatever we want, basically.
I mean, when you take a look at the amount of money just in this small project alone,
right,
and I'm not knocking that building a garage is a small project, but in the whole scheme of Trimet, this is a very small project.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no kidding. And
I mean, if you just took, a percentage of this, as you've been trying to relate, and just gave it to the people, the fares to the people who really need it, and not go through the hoops.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to. Yeah, the amount of money that they're using for these questions. I mean, does the pile garage even need to be rebuilt? It was always kind of run down. Yeah, but do you need a whole fucking new one at $109 million? Can't you do something to refurbish the current building? I always question the validity of all the projects. Periods. Like, are they really necessary, or are they just another capital project? We don't know. They've decided they're going to do this, so they're doing it.
Excuse me, I would note that the change order allowance that we have allocated is not intended to cover that as well. We would look towards the House Bill 2017 funding stream to fund that, and so I can't imagine a scenario, Dr. Baumann, that we're not back in front of you when that project element comes back. There's an increase in the contract price.
And we're working right now really, really quickly to try to get some of the pre-work done, getting some of the conduit and vaults in the ground with this contract, but that haven't been fully designed and implemented and costed out yet.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be a modification to this contract.
Most likely, yes.
There you go.
This will come before the board, actually the September board.
Every modification comes with a new set of fees and management costs.
Strategy session to talk about the electrification on the overall network, of which Powell will be one component of. Once with that policy direction, we intend to put forward to you, hopefully at the October board session. Once that has been set, then we will overlay the electrification piece to Powell specifically. We want to have the broader conversation around the trajectory of speed of getting to non-diesel type of energy approach, but it'll lead to, we're actually looking to change the fundamental energy platform of this organization. So this will be overlaid at that time.
And more money.
And separately.
All right. Well, this is a large contract that as we already know, over it's $100 million plus, but it's something that's been years in preparation, and for this organization to continue to serve our stakeholders, riders, in our constituency in this region, we have to continue to improve our infrastructure to ensure that we can respond to all the needs that we have as we move forward. With that, it's a needed improvement, a needed rehab that we have to do and need to do as we continue to, again, make sure that we respond to the need in our communities. With that, are there any more questions before we move to considering a motion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Okay,
we have a motion. Is there a second?
This is killing me.
I know.
Second.
We We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this resolution?
Hand them the money. Give them a check right now.
Hearing none. All those. Was there? Did you say something, Mr. President?
I didn't. My phone was just wiggling around. I apologize.
I thought I heard 4.
What does that mean?
I wish.
4.
All right, hearing no other discussion.
It's a golf
all those
club.
in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing that project at some point get kicked off.
I know, I'm just shocked.
As soon as we can get started.
You know,
Director Stovall, if I might, I'd like to.
Stakeholders.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
all I could feel like is that I wish, quote, I was the guy holding the stake, like a vampire hunter, and I would like to put the stake through them. But essentially, the stake is put through every damn taxpayer's heart and wallet at the same time.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. It sounds so nice. Our stakeholders. Yeah. Right.
Introduce Kate McKinnon in the back row. Kate, could you please stand? Kate has been, she's the project design manager. She's an architect that works with us, and she has been working diligently on this project and these contract negotiations, so I didn't want her efforts to go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you very much, Kate.
How much money did you pay her? So let us know that.
I'd also like to pile on a little bit here. I also want to thank the mechanics and the transportation teams.
Yeah, right.
This facility has served its purpose honorably over many years. There's a lot of MacGyvers out there at Powell who keep this thing going over a very tired facility that needs the rehab help, the rebuilding help. So I just really want to acknowledge them. They have to come up with a lot of creative solutions
Part of this facility out there is just not an operator place, but they are planning on to redo or build brand new bays for
mechanics.
So
whatever. I get.
I wouldn't doubt that considering how old this place is, that it.
Oh yeah, it's old. It's old. I know that, but it's been functioning. It's functioning, right? It is a functioning garage. Last I looked. I mean, it's not like we got to get a new one because we can't even work out of here anymore. It's a functioning garage. They just want a new one.
Demands of the facility are under significant stress. So not only is this a going forward, I just really want to acknowledge those who live and sweat and work in it every single day on everyone's behalf. So in addition to Kate, thank you.
All right. Thank you. We appreciate that highlight. All right, I believe we're moving on to our last resolution of the morning, resolution number 5.
Yeah, we haven't even got to the good part.
And this resolution is 18-08-63, authorizing a modification to the contract with Stantec Architecture.
Stacy
Incorporated
Whitback wants more money
for the Powell Garage Powell Bus Garage Replacement Project.
He's wrong.
Mr. General Manager.
He got it wrong.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President.
He just said it was the Powell Bus Replacement Garage when this is the.
I thought we just did that.
Yeah, that's right. It's the Gideon Bridge.
Based on what you just approved as a resolution, this project now moves from the design phase to the construction phase.
What?
So previously, the board authorized the award contract to R&L Design in the amount of $4.9 million.
So
Stantec purchased R&L, and the contract was transferred to this new organization and company.
Whoa. At the bottom of the screen, it says authorizing a modification contract with Stacy and Whitbeck, but maybe they're still talking about the
contract did not include funding for future design services for construction because at the time for the work could not be determined what it was. It's now estimated at $4.2 million, as reflected in the contract before you today.
Another 4.2.
The contract was procured through a competitive RFP process. In its proposal, R&L expected to achieve 27% DBE participation through its subcontractors. Currently, Stantec is achieving approximately 26% DBE participation. However, the work included in the proposal anticipates over 35% participation. Stantec's workforce diversity is 18% minority and 34% women. The Powell Garage replacement is included, as I've indicated in the prior resolution, and the FY 18-19 capital program, and your recommendations is strongly recommended.
So this is another is this another?
Right, so this is a separate contract for just design service on top of the $140 million bucks.
Right. Yeah.
Are there any questions? Looks like we've still got the panel of Dan and Steve.
Ready.
And they appear to be ready. You have a comment?
I just wanted to note one thing that Director Bauman asked about the electrification. This additional design work, in addition to the design services during construction, which is critical in a phased project when we're sort of living in one building while we're remodeling our kitchen. It also includes the additional design work necessary to support the electrification work that you were describing. So not just the DSDC. So I just wanted to mention that.
All right. What other questions do we have for the panel?
This is a whole different
point of clarification in regards to the diversity and inclusion estimates. The 35% participation that's quoted as viable for the work component, is that referring to the construction side?
This is just for the design and engineering.
That's design.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Okay.
So this is another goddamn.
Yeah, so they're desperately looking to make sure they fill the minority.
Yeah, right. They have to throw that in and makes them look good. So the original contract.
So what this could actually include is they hire a minority janitorial service to clean their office.
Yeah, I've just looked up this. So you know, there we got some people here. My question is, who are these people that they're hiring? What skill level? Right. We don't get to know.
In other words, are they really hiring people who are trying to get into this upper tier of the business, or is this just low-level jobs?
I don't know. I don't know how they hire subcontractors. I think that are supposedly minority owned, or I don't know. That all identity politics stuff. I was never.
Well, some of this over the years has been exposed as complete fraud. I mean, and when it's exposed, the general contractor said, "How was I supposed to know the guy was,
Yeah, right. It was a. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It was a front.
Right. It was a fake, just minority contractor, or they put some guy name on it when the actual owners were just another Stacy Whitbeck. Right. Yeah, so this is on top of the other $109 million.
I have no other comment.
All right.
By the way, the original.
I bought a car not that long ago, and if the negotiation went like this, so that you would make the deal, and then the guy would say, "Now, would you like an engine?"
Yeah, right, exactly. This is just insanity. This is insanity the way they do business.
Right. Well,
so the engine and the wheels weren't included in the price.
Yeah, I'm looking at the resolution right now, and it started at $5 million, and then they added so they're adding another $4 million. Okay, so that's another example. Okay, we bid it at 5, but now we need 9.
As we know,
on top of the 100 and whatever million.
And on top of the 140.
Right.
In support of the Powell Bus Garage Replacement Project, which we just referenced.
I mean, $9 million for construction service. How many fucking engineers? What does an engineer make $200,000 a year or something? I don't know what they make, but I mean, how many engineers can you buy for $9 million? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of profit built in here.
That approval in that resolution. If there are no other questions or comments, is there? I mean, it's a fucking garage, okay? Do you need 100 engineers working on this? Ready to make a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
We have a motion.
Okay.
Is there a second? We have a second.
Suspense again. Is it going to make?
Is there any further discussion?
100% unanimous.
All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion is approved. Thank you so very, very much.